Okay, two taps means we're starting the meeting. Welcome, everyone. Thank you, council, for your willingness to come in on these off-cycle meetings. This one qualified as a special meeting because there's a shot clock running on it, so to speak, which is why we're here. We've only got a single agenda item. It's Wednesday, November 5th, 5:30. We're at Poetry Town Hall. I will do roll call for quorum. I, Mike Jaffe, the mayor, am here. Mayor Pro Tem Fowler.
Here.
Councilman Anderson.
Here.
Councilman Kendrick.
Here.
Councilman Bryant.
Here.
Councilwoman Hibbs.
Here.
Okay, we have quorum. Everybody is here. Let's see, Doug is going to lead us in the pledge, and then Councilwoman Hibbs will lead us in the prayer. Please join us.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Thank you for sending your precious Son. As we work through the item on the list tonight, let everybody's voices be heard. Let us make these decisions with discernment for the citizens of our towns. It's in these things I ask in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, guys. Okay, so we're going to let, of course, anybody that wants to give input tonight into the topic, but let me start off with items of community interest. We're not going to do staff reports tonight, but I did want to spend just a couple of minutes talking about a planning and development meeting that Terry and I attended today in Kaufman County with commissioners and a lot of their development staff. There is a solar farm going in right up 986 at this. It corners at the cemetery right there at 324 and 986, and it extends for 1,500 acres back to 34, and then down that road along the side of the cemetery for quite a ways. And it's been in the works for quite a while, and so we were invited, and I'm glad that we were because we need to be a part of it. It corners on, I mean, it's going to be right there on the road at 986 and 324. So, you know, we'll talk about it later as an agenda item, but certainly our concerns, and we raised them, and they were well received, I think, were over safety, right? You've got batteries and solar panels and the need to provide all kinds of protection there, but also, you know, they're going to be using our roads for construction. They're going to be using our roads to access. And so we're going to try to get a road escrow agreement along with the two counties who are doing exactly the same thing, and TxDOT, that they'll put money away that will document the condition of the roads before construction starts. And then any damage to the road during the construction process, they would be responsible for repairing. So we'll see how that goes. It's if you haven't driven that corner of town, you probably have. You know that up on 34, as you go towards, what is it, Able Springs or whatever, or towards Quinlan, there's a big solar farm. I think it's 1,300 or 1,400 acres, so you can kind of compare. But these things are ginormous, and they're going to allegedly produce a lot of electricity. The good news is the gentleman who's sort of representing them was there at the meeting, and he seemed very receptive to the conversations that were going on. So,
Are they actually going to do storage there?
yes,
Yeah.
They're going to have batteries. They're going to have panels.
And there's a transfer station there?
They're
There's
building
gonna
a
be-
substation. Encore is going to build a substation. So anyway, we'll talk more about that. But again, you know, our goal as a council is to let people know as quickly as we do. I don't think the documents that we were handed are confidential, but once I find out that they're not, I'll share that with the council, and then also share with the citizens, you know, whatever we can. And then I guess also community interest. Some of you, I know Tom was there last night. Some of us attended the Terra Nova hearing with the Terrell City Council. And that was an interesting meeting. You know, that's another big one, 1,440 acres or something. I mean, it's a very large development. It's going to basically double the population of Terrell. Now it's over supposedly a long number of years. It's gonna have all kinds of, according to the current plan, it's gonna have everything from green space to jogging trails to shopping centers to
Yeah.
apartments to houses, all of that. So that'll be interesting. I mean, it's not here, but it is kind of in our backyard. I mean, it comes almost up to Poetry Road, I think. It comes a long ways around, and it's certainly going to affect the traffic. And hey, Jason, as we continue to follow the outer loop project, all of that kind of ties together, right? Where that outer loop ends up, where and how Terra Nova develops, all of those things are going to affect traffic flow and other things here in the town. So we're going to stay plugged into that as best we can. The Planning and Zoning Committee there in Terrell has already approved Terra Nova, but the council has not. So it's still up for a vote. I don't know when they're going to schedule that vote, but anyway, it's interesting. It's really big. To me, it feels like a city inside of a city. I mean, Terra Nova is going to basically be a city. It's going to have lots of stuff. So, and one of the feedbacks that was given, there were a few people supporting it, a lot of people that didn't. But one of the feedbacks that was given was that it's going to change the feel of the town. It's not going to be a little sleepy small town anymore with a little stuff out on the edge. I mean, it's going to be right in the heart of it and very modern. I think the homes start at like 400,000. I mean, these are not going to be cheap little houses. It's going to be pretty nice development. But anyway, just be aware we're tracking those kinds of things so that we can stay on top of them and have whatever participation is necessary. Okay, we'll jump into our regular agenda. Again, we only have a single item, and that is to discuss and take action as necessary on the Town of Poetry response to TCEQ permit number for a Bishop Field Municipal Utility District. As I wrote here, the goal of this item is to determine the Town of Poetry's response to TCEQ. So we received a letter from TCEQ. I don't think I got a copy of that, but
I've got it here if you.
anyway, we received a letter, and I put that in the citizens packet as well as council's packet, that basically said there's a shot clock on this because it's in the final stages of approval, and anybody that wants to contest it has until, and I think, what did we decide, Tom? We've got till like the
24th is, I believe. Originally, we thought it was 30 days from the first publication, but she confirmed yesterday it's 30 days from the second one, which was October 25th, which would put it November 24th, roughly,
right.
is the 30 days.
So by that date, because they're required, and it says all of this in the file that you would have gotten if you downloaded the packet, they have to announce it in 2 newspaper cycles, so many days apart, which they've done. And so it's based on the last newspaper posting that occurs. But we have to make a decision as a town, and we're going to discuss that tonight, and as a council, what our response is going to be. Because if the response in one of our options is to contest it, right, speak out against it, we have to fill out a form and send that to them so TCEQ can set up an administrative court and prepare for all of the things that happen with that. So Terry, I'm going to let Doug kind of lead the main conversation, but Terry, you want to give a little overview of the discussion we had yesterday, just kind of high level?
Yeah.
Or Tom, either one. I mean,
Go ahead.
So high level, it was the attorney from Coates and Rose, Ecken Road, and what was the other guy? Was the engineer?
Brent Monroy.
he's the engineer.
Mulroy.
He's the engineer. So
He's with-
basically, we asked a lot of questions and we had a lot of notes. But the 10,000 foot view is they're setting it up in preparation to sell it to a development company. So they're doing the mud. Obviously, that's what we're here to talk about. They're going to do hydrogeo studies. They're going to look at water feasibility, and they are still talking about the deep water wells. We questioned them about the sustainability and all that. And of course, they're engineers and they're going to build in their safety factors, but that is the way they're leaning. I did specifically ask about getting municipal water. They weren't really in tune to that. Sound like they're pretty stuck on that.
Although they said they had talked to Black.
They had talked to Blackland.
Right.
So it's going to cost infrastructure fees. Just from my knowledge of municipal water, they can get water from Blackland, but they would have to pay for the infrastructure to get there. So basically, they're weighing their odds. Are we going to dig deep water wells? How much water can we get? Will it support? And what we learned from that conversation is a lot of the development size will be developed on some of those principles. Market is one of them. How desirable is it? And then two, the ability to get infrastructure, the mud, how much water they can discharge, and obviously how much water they can get from the deep water wells or a municipal water
They
source.
still have to process the water.
They still have to process it. And we talked about that. So, the hydrogeo study will determine a lot. How much water they can get is how many houses they can serve. It's not a hard fast number, but one scenario they've looked at, and I wrote it down. It's 1,770 homes.
That's the highest density,
Yeah,
right? So
Which
it
is
could range
five-
anywhere up
five
to
houses
per
per acre.
5 per
Yeah.
acre.
Per net acre.
Yeah,
That's right. There's 350 usable acres on that property. The rest of the acreage is
and they
low-lying
wouldn't
or-
commit on how much of the usable land is actually, because you got to build roadways, you got to have right of ways and stuff. So Mike or Tom actually asked them, do you use 70%? Do you use 80%? We never got an answer on that.
Right.
But as far as usable, you can see where the flood land lays, and obviously that's not usable. But 350 usable acres, and then
Or five lots an acre.
that's a
Those
lot.
are Small lots.
8,000 square feet lots.
Yeah.
So do the math with a 5-foot side yard, which is what we have, a zero
Smallest,
lot
yeah, the
line.
smallest lots are 40 foot wide,
Yeah,
50 foot wide,
Tiny
and 60
homes.
foot wide. I
Well,
mean, they're-
entry level housing, whatever it is.
yeah. So
That's why they're not in Rockwall.
we had some discussions, and we couldn't never pin them down about the road usage and tearing up our roads and what we could work together, and they would not commit. They're like, oh, there's got to be traffic studies and all that. All I was trying to do is get a commitment
Yeah,
that
do 'em.
that they're willing to work
Yeah.
for us, because they are going to spill into our town. And Tom brought up several times that some of the egress points to this development flood.
Yeah.
2434 floods both directions. You get down to 249 trying to go towards Rockwall, it floods. Back towards 1565 going out that way, it floods. So we are going to have an impact. They were saying that the traffic study is going to show that most of their residents are going to move in and out towards the Rockwall area. And I'm not going to necessarily disagree with them, but as Terrell grows, Terra Nova's growing,
Yeah.
the south end of Terrell, that's going to draw more traffic, which is going to pull them through our town. There is going to be an impact on our town. I wouldn't say they don't want to work with us, but they won't. They're real iffy on
Non-committal.
non-committal, very much. And I get it. They want to see some studies, but we're wanting the ball to move faster. Like, tell us what you can do for us, and they wouldn't. So, Tom, if you want to follow up on the conversations y'all had about the tanks and
Yeah,
all that.
I guess just one more on the road. We did point out that Redfro Creek, that floods. That's where their discharge water is going to go, and it already floods. I know because I can't go that way when it floods over. With Renfro Creek's their discharge into it, it's going to be even more likely to flood, and so that will hurt their market. And they pointed that out. Well, that might hurt their marketability, but he said, well, it's every direction you go, almost out of there, it's going to flood. But then we talked about the problem with the wells, with the airport tanks, and they actually seem like they didn't know or hadn't done anything. I don't know if it's true, but what they basically said was that would be kicked down the road. They're not doing it now. Pointed out to them, if you go into it and find out that there's some those tanks, and there are 2 tanks there that they've leaked, and one of them's leaded aviation gasoline, which is really tricky. The other is aviation jet fuel. Is that could set you way back, especially if it's leaked and got into the soil, which is sandy loam. Everywhere that you see it's yellow is basically sandy loam. The only place it's clay is that one small area down near the floodplain. That's a little bit of clay, but everything else from the maps we have from the Ag Extension agent in Greenville, it's all sandy loam. And tank leakage will migrate through sandy loam until it hits water or clay. And since there's no real clay there at sandy loam, well, it's going to migrate. And if it gets into water table, well, then all bets are off. It's a big deal. So anyway, one of the questions that came up was Ray Eckerode, who's kind of one of the two guys heading the project, said, well, that, we've had TCU come out there and they couldn't find the tanks. Well, that's kind of a play on words, because they weren't and we pointed out to them, they looked above ground, but these are below ground tanks. These are not
Do we
above
know
ground
that for a
tanks.
fact that they're
Do,
underground?
do what?
Do we know that they are in fact underground tanks?
TCUQ has records they're underground.
Okay, so-
EPA has records, and we have a pilot that's flown in there that's used them and said that.
No, I'm
So,
just asking, I'm not.
well, but
Yeah,
the other one is that if they've removed those tanks, that's in violation of the law, because it
They
has
did
to
it
be
without-
done
Yeah,
in a very strict protocol by a certified one.
yeah, they had to be registered and then.
And even if they've been removed, they still got to do testing.
Sure.
And testing involves drilling, and they got to go,
Test
spread,
well.
yeah, there are a lot of test wells.
Yeah.
To see if they
Well,
find
sandy
hydrocarbon.
loam.
It's called an environmental site
Yeah.
assessment.
Oh, no, I've
So-
dealt with.
So
test-
basically, they said, well, that's part of the environmental. But then Ray said, when he says, well, they came out and didn't find anything. And I said, well, that's because they weren't allowed to either use any kind of electronic equipment to look for the metal or dig. He says, no, I didn't tell them that. I said, well, they were told me that. And in their letter to us, they said that in their letter, they said they have records of the tank. They don't have records of them being removed, but they weren't allowed to dig. And so Ray says, well, just have them call me. I'll give them the authority to go in and dig or do whatever they want to do to look for them. And then Ray actually did say, I'd like to know if the tanks are there.
I bet he would too.
Yeah,
Well,
I would think he would.
practically,
It
it affects the
affects
marketability of the land,
Yeah.
right? If the
Yeah.
land is tainted in some way, they want to know that.
Well, and I don't know if I pointed it out. I think I did. Is that if they were putting in a warehouse or parking lot or something, this wouldn't be that big a deal. But housing really elevates it. And
Well, guys, it's not as big as issue as it used to be, primarily because as long as they're piping their water in, and it may affect their wells if we get into that, but as long as they're piping their water in, I mean, I'm just my 2 cents worth. I've bought many a properties with monitoring wells on site. You can see them, hotel sites, and the wells are there. People come out and test. Life goes on. I'm just saying. I mean, I understand what you're saying about the underground tanks, and it can, but you're probably talking 5, 6, 7 phases of development. I mean, it's a
Well,
That's a
and,
big
and
deal.
on that topic, let me throw in a couple of things we didn't hit on yet. One, they are in the process of obtaining a wastewater discharge permit. So they do not have that in hand, but they said they're working on that. They also called what they're doing the process that this group is responsible for entitling the property. So this phase it's to me, it's just getting it ready for sale, right? They're getting things that people would want that might buy it. So they called that entitling. And they did say
paper
that
developers.
they are not charged in this phase with doing any environmentals. Those environmentals would occur, I guess, when a
on the buyer
developer
side. Yeah.
puts a contract on it or after they buy it. I don't know. But they are not currently doing any kind of environmentals on it. So that's not
They
part of
probably
their.
haven't even acquired all the property, right?
they show it on the CAD that they have
Yeah, I saw that.
the two of the lien holders. One of them is still Bishop, W.H. Bishop, and the other is one of the financial institutions. So apparently,
First bank.
if you look on the CAD, that they are, they do have lien holders.
Yeah.
So I don't know that they own all of it, but
They probably have
basically,
it under some kind of option or something.
Well, I would also think that any buyer that bought it from Bishop or whoever Billy Bishop, knowing that there was an airport on there, he would want an ESI study.
well, apparently they hadn't done it.
Yeah.
because
Well, they
that's
will.
what we asked them.
Yeah.
They
Linda's
bought-
not gonna do it
And
without.
by the way, that is August of 2021 rather, when they bought 3 of the 4 parcels.
Yeah.
The following month in September, they bought that strip that goes over to 2440, that half acre, that small.
Yeah.
Small strip. But anyway, August, September of 2021 is when the deal closed on the land, so to speak. But ownership, still there's a lien apparently, according to the CAD. And by the way, it also,
Do we know what the lien is for though? Is the
Sorry?
lien, is it
it doesn't say
More
in
property
the
mortgage.
CAD.
Vendor's lien.
a vendor's lien?
Probably.
Lender's lien? Okay. So
Okay,
that's not a for sure deal then.
Well, it just means they borrowed money. That's all it means.
Okay.
They just leaned it.
Yeah.
So on the construction of houses, 1,700 houses, did they suggest any way of doing things in phases?
Oh, no.
You know,
that would
Well,
all
they're
be
not-
determined by
well,
the
again,
developer.
these, I mean, they
I can
shared
see
at
them
the
building
end
1,700 homes.
that the end of their current project they were hired to do very well may be the end of their time with this development or with this piece of land, but they're hopeful that they'll be hired on to continue then working with the developer, right, once it's sold. And so, you know, one of the struggles they had in the conversation was that, you know, because they don't know when this thing's going to be ready and sell, it's hard to say densities, what's the market at the time, what kinds of things would a developer want to build. I mean, if they're just trying to get as many houses as they can on there, they're going to go for maximum density, but I guess it's possible somebody could buy it and turn it into a Amazon warehouse or something. I don't know. They're just going to sell it to the highest bidder, I would think. And it'll have the ability to have a package plant, you know, a sewer plant and whatever else on it. So, but again, we don't have in our toolkit in our town right now much that we can pull on to affect at the moment what goes on there. Now, the good news is, again, in my mind, they are not the developers. There isn't a developer in this picture yet, right? It's going to sell to one at some point, could be a year or 2 or 5 from now. I think that's when things get real. But again, we've got a shot clock on this permit, and if we want to speak, we need to do it very quickly. So, Doug, you want to kind of take it from there and just talk us around?
Well,
Some
thank
of
you, Mayor. I too have done some shadowing work, if you will, on subdivision ordinances and that sort of thing. But at the same time, I want the community to know that we are a new council, and we understand that there are some processes that are going to have to go through. And as we've even said here in the first 25 minutes of this discussion, folks can hear the processes that are going on and what we need to be looking at addressing per se. And we do want to protect our community and our boundaries. And this is where this project comes in, where we are wanting to make sure our boundaries are protected, i.e. the roads and that sort of thing. That we too understand that people have always said, you know, we want poultry as is, and it's certainly understandable as we understand that as well. But at the same time, this is why we're having to look at processes and things like that to protect our community and our boundaries at the same time. So hopefully what people are hearing tonight is there are some processes that we are going to be associated with this project. The council, I feel like, is our new council is committed, and we want things to be done and changed, but it's to help us and to maintain what we can do to protect ourselves and establish this. We want to move forward, but there are some processes that I want the community to understand that we're doing it for the good of our community, existing community, but we also want to protect our future community as well. I think at the same time, looking at some of the paperwork that we were provided in our budget and in our packet, that from council all the way to our legal staff that needs to be aware of the new council and our effects and what we're looking at, so that they too can be brought up to speed and help us in these situations instead of just kind of it's in the ETJ. And we do know that. We know it a lot, but at the same time, our processes are going to be looking at what we need to do, provide protection for our community. Looking at a subdivision ordinance from Hunt County, I wrote down 13 bullet points addressing a subdivision that's not necessarily is in the ETJ, or could be in an ETJ, but 13 points that we could use to helpfully protect our boundaries and our roads and that sort of thing that we can sit down with and negotiate things. And Councilman Bryan and I have sit in front of, and y'all have too now, with, from what I'm understanding. But you know, when people come in wanting to do something to a community, they bring in their team, and we want to be able to have our team properly informed, and plus we want to also have the support of our outside, you know, legal help as well. So all in all, is kind of what I was wanting to do tonight, is let people know that there are changes coming with our community. We're going to do the best we can to protect our community, but we're also wanting to help our community, because if we do ETJ, if we've got people coming into ETJ and that's where they want to go because they don't want to mess with a city or a town, but at the same token, I want us to be able to have enough ammunition that we can defend ourselves for these people, for entrances like we're talking about here, and our boundaries and our roads and that sort of thing. There's a lot of things that subdivision people can do outside of an ETJ, which means connecting up to our city boundaries. So I just appreciate it to all, and for the community, just, you know, be patient with us and support us, because there are some tough decisions coming down the pike, as we see now, and we've had to deal with some things already, you know, that puts a strain on this council. So we just want to have the support and continual support of us moving forward, and same as within the council. So I appreciate it, Mayor.
Okay, so yeah, there's a lot of places to go with this conversation, but to be true to the agenda item, what we need to accomplish tonight, we'll take a break here in a second, let the citizens speak that want to speak, but we need, as a council, and I don't get to vote, so it's up to the five of you, need to make a decision as to what we're going to do with regards to this permit approval, right? That's really the reason we're here tonight, and we're trying to do it in a timely way so we don't miss the deadline. And I think, again, I don't want to bias your thinking necessarily, but I think there's at least three options. We can do nothing, and the permit will be granted, and at some point down the road, somebody will buy it that intends to develop, and then we'll apply whatever is appropriate at the time. Reminding us that currently development in the ETJ is governed by Kaufman and Hunt County, right? We have agreements with those two counties that they are responsible for managing development in the ETJ. The other thing we can do is we can contest it, right? We can fill out that form, and I'm happy to do that, sign it and send it. And we will be scheduled in an administrative court in Austin, where we will give depositions, give testimonies, so on and so forth. That process can take up to a year. It can last up to a year. We can take a lawyer with us, or we can not take a lawyer. There's differing opinions. I don't like to go up against lawyers without my own, so you know, that's just kind of me. But I did check with our current counsel, and this is, according to him, way out of his wheelhouse. He would not be the person that would go to Austin with us. He said what he's done is, you know, tried to find somebody down in Austin that would, you know, do the representation for us, but it would mean travel by mayor, council, and of course citizens, I guess, would be allowed to go down there and, you know, do depositions, do testimonies, do whatever, to this court, who would then, you know, consider, now I will tell you, and of course we've been discussing this mud for quite some time now, this council and prior council, the odds of stopping this, just being real, are not real good. I mean, I looked again at how many hundred MUDs there are in Texas, and I couldn't find a single instance of one that's been denied. I mean,
Oh, I
they
found
just-
several.
Hmm?
I found several.
that have been, the MUD was denied or
Yes,
some other
The
permit
MUD
was denied?
denied.
Okay, well, you can share that.
There
because-
weren't many, but there was some.
Yeah, I couldn't find any. And I can also tell you that when I meet with mayors and development people from other towns and counties, it sounds like tragically poetry is a little bit in the crosshairs of these developers. I mean, they just, because we're not equipped as well as we need to be, and we're gonna be, kind of to Doug's intro there, we are going to start filling in the gaps that we need to fill in so that we're better prepared, because I don't want them taking advantage of us unfairly. But this one is hot. It's our first, and it's exciting. But I do not think this is the last time we're going to be having this conversation. You know,
Well,
there's still some large. I mean, that solar farm, 1,500 acres, is evidence of that. That could have been bought by a developer and turned into something other than a solar farm. Thank goodness it wasn't. But anyway, and then the third option is to work with the current group and come up with, what do they call it? There's a term for it, development agreement. And that development agreement would be like a covenant on a deed, right? It would go with the land forward to whatever person buys the land, that would have some agreement between the town and that property, whoever owns it, to do certain things. Now, it doesn't sound like there's a way to make that like super binding. It sounds like it's more kind of an agreement where you say, hey, whoever buys this and develop it need to work with the town on roads, and needs to work with the town on taxes, and work with the town on, you know, other things that they might be able to. And, you know, they talked about, and this is way out there, that sometimes what happens with these MUDs is they will put it in the agreement that once the debt is paid off, which takes 25 years, they said typically, for the MUD to pay back all the money that they had to spend on the package plant and development, all that, that the MUD will annex into the town. But that's a long time from now, so, you know.
Yeah, but then we're responsible for the roads and everything.
Well, you have, but I think you have the option. I don't think
Yeah.
they can forcibly
Mhm.
annex in. I think they could approach the town and say, we'd like to join.
And you have a right to condition that acceptance.
That's true.
So anyway, those are the things. I also asked our attorney for kind of a range of numbers if we contest and go to trial. And he said it's tens of thousands of dollars. It's like super expensive. I mean, you're talking about a year potentially of this going on. So it's a lot of money. You know, it's not a, I'm not saying that to discourage, but I'm just saying that we we just did our budget, and none of those accounts have like huge amounts of money in them. So I think that's one of the things the council needs to consider is, you know, how much we can afford to spend. So,
Well, Mike, and I'd point out, David Berman gives us a very good rate. Any trial attorney, by nature, trial attorneys always charge a lot more. They're the most expensive of all. So any attorney, he's suggesting that we would have to use out of Austin that's familiar with this. I mean, you're not going to get them for $250 an hour. It's going to be well above that.
yeah.
So it's the reason he said it's expensive is because trial attorneys themselves are very expensive.
Well, and finding one that specializes in this is probably going to be.
Well, that's
hard.
true. It's got to be one that specializes, but in general, trial attorneys charge more. In fact, attorneys that go to trial charge more during trial than they do for consulting. So that's one reason it's very
Yeah, and
expensive.
again, I don't want to bias the conversation, but it could be a big bill.
Have you reached out to Rockwall about their fight with with the Mud District in Rockwall?
Yeah.
And they give you any
Not a lot of
figures?
good news.
Yeah.
So I have a friend who's on another council that attended the TML. I don't know that anybody here necessarily went to TML last week, but my understanding from her was that one of the things that TML shared with the people there in one of the sessions was that the charge in Austin is to take control away from cities, right? So Austin wants to rule cities, and I can tell you that's exactly where Rockwall is right now. They're struggling with that, the judge and the council and others, because you know, whereas the towns, ourselves included, are trying to figure out how we can control ETJ development and ETJ activities, Austin at the same time is saying, no, 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 we're going to maintain jurisdiction over that because we can then work with developers because they put, you know, some of these developers are billion-dollar companies and they got a lot of money and a lot of influence. And so, and that's frustrating to me because I don't like hearing that kind of a message. I don't think that means give up, but what I think it means practically is you're going to struggle to find somebody in an influential position in Austin that's going to stand up and fight for things like, you know, anti-mud, because turns out they're actually for MUDs because they believe the term they use is grassroots. They think that MUDs are grassroots, which is to me an oxymoron. I mean, it's not grassroots, it's their roots.
I mean, the only
But-
other thing that I could think of would be see if Hunt County would help us with legal expenses if we wanted to contest it.
Well, I don't know, they're fighting on a lot of fronts right now themselves. I mean, all the counties are, because these things are just popping up all over the
Well,
place.
Mike,
so.
could Tracy tell us what these three were that she saw that were successful?
I didn't write any of them down, but there were some that had been successful.
And do you remember the
I thought-
basis? I mean, did they
I think
have a hitch in the?
almost every one of them had to do with runoff, and being in floodplains,
Being in what?
Well, you know,
flood areas.
yeah, actually,
Most MUDs are.
I'm glad you asked that, Tom, because I printed off, this is off the TCEQ website. It says issues we, TCEQ, can't consider.
Right.
It says, while TCEQ strives to assist in every way possible, some matters fall outside of our jurisdiction. This is front page of the website. Things they cannot consider: noise,
Mhm.
they can't consider zoning, they can't consider effects on property, they can't consider light pollution, they can't consider increased traffic, they can't consider effects on local economy, and they can't consider historic sites. None of those is a basis for them
Because it wouldn't be able to allow them.
denying
Right.
the permit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, I thought that was interesting because, you know, one of the things that the TCEQ people say, and they said it in the Crush the Crusher thing, was, listen, we'd love to help, but our hands are tied, right? That's one of the
That's
things
their
that came out.
famous saying.
Right. Now, that isn't exactly true, but, you know, that's the get out of jail they like to use so that they don't get yelled at quite as much. But, okay, let's take a pause and let the citizens speak. We got a few people want to sign up. Jason, you came in late. Did you want to speak on this? Or?
that'd be good.
Okay, I'll add you to the list. So we'll go backwards here. Jonathan, Blake, turn the microphone on too, please. I think I turned it off, so it wouldn't be noisy.
Jonathan Blake, Poetry, Texas. Having spent some time earlier with Tom assessing this thing, it's an inevitability that it's going to happen. And my recommendation would be to negotiate the best that you can for the town. And I know you'll do the very best you can. And I'm kind of glad that I didn't get reelected right now.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan. Tara Senkovich?
Tara Stankovich, Town of Poetry. So, about 3 years ago, this may or may not be helpful, but I'll just put it out there. Ted Murphy, who was the former partner of Ray Eckenrode, came and talked with me for about an hour or so. He had a preliminary plan that was different than this plan. And, you know, at the time I was trying to talk him into, hey, could you look at some sort of equine community that would be more in line with the spirit of our community. And he did listen, which was nice. And then further, we talked about a year ago, he had split with his partner over this development. He's not a fan of MUDs. He's currently working with a PID in Greenville. One of the things he did relay to me was an understanding of how this works. So they're the master planner. They're getting this, prepared, and then they outsource to either a DR Horton or a Sunbelt Homes. In fact, this development is so large, they might actually have 2 or 3 builders that they will split the area up into. So when you talk about having to negotiate, it's not just with these fellows, it may be a future developer or 2 or 3 or 4, because this is a larger development. So that was kind of interesting information, I thought. So, but to Tracy's research, I'm wondering if some of these did. I know Judge Stovall has said that he has talked some people out of mud developments. I found that was very interesting. So it has happened. He's been against a lot of them. And I think he would be a good resource to find out how he did that exactly. I'm not sure. I also think because of the school system would be potentially overwhelmed with this kind of development in the county, that they might also be an additional resource to look into if you were going to try to contest it or even negotiate. But with the whole lead tanks, that is very concerning, and the overrun of water, that is very concerning. So if the 3 examples that you came up was because of water, I think that is a significant concern. In fact, a lot of the citizens groups who have formed around this and filed many of the complaints, it's primarily what we're seeing is because of the flooding, because of the overrun of water. That is their primary concern. And then on top of that, we have the lead, potential lead contamination in the soil or even the groundwater. That is additionally concerning. So I don't know that that's typical to land that MUDs are developing on. That may be atypical. So anyway.
Thank you. Okay, Shelley Smith.
Pass.
Okay, Jason. You would just give us your name and what town you live in.
Jason Eddington, live in Forney, Texas. So running for District 2, Texas Senate seat. I'll say this, that I'm not against development. I'm not against trying to improve an area. But what I am against is the thought that they can do it without that kind of feedback and that kind of input. One of the things that I talk about when I go around is that, they legislate for the people, but I talk that that's not what he said. He said of the people, by the people, and for the people, which means it's for the people because it's by the people. When you guys are left out of those decisions and those opportunities, then it's not truly for the people. It's for the lobbyists. It's for the corporate, investors.
The developers.
The developers. Let's be honest. Texas is growing, but let's be honest. This is for profit. Yeah. And so I'm sad that you guys are going through this. It happened to Forney. I can see it's going to happen here. Laws can be changed, and we really have to start holding our legislators accountable to changing laws that are actually for the people and that are by the people. So feel free to reach out to me. I met Mayor Gaff and Doug at the chamber. So feel free to reach out to me. I want to do something about it. And we need to do something about it because it impacts us just like it'll impact you guys.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you for coming.
So I want to follow up another thing that we spoke on real briefly, but it's near and dear to my heart, and should be every citizen is the taxation on the local resources. So PD or county sheriffs, they will benefit from this. I'm still going to be a taxation on them, but they're going to draw taxes from these properties. That's going to go to the county that funds those. Ambulances have billing, which we know is not enough to keep it running, but hospital districts also pay for them. The ones that suffer are the local fire departments, and that the direct impact on us as citizens is they're going to increase their volume of calls and the responsibility on them, which could serve us less. And Jason, you running for a state office, as rural communities develop, it's, these local fire departments don't have the revenue streams. Most of the time it's bootstrap and fundraisers. Some counties have gone to a ESD taxation, emergency special district, I think is what it's called. And those are relatively inexpensive. Speaking to some of those on the board in Kaufman County, I think the average home in that ESD down there, ESD 1, I think was $50 a house. But the benefit from those rural fire departments who serve us is they're getting full-time staff guys 8 hours a day and then relying on volunteers at night. So we did briefly speak about the impact on resources, emergency resources and stuff, but they just want to keep going back to traffic studies and stuff like that. I really don't think they care. At the end of the day, they're setting this up to sell, and as Jason pointed out, and we all know that this is for profit. But as a community, if we can get that word out, maybe we can start having some more legitimate concerns about the safety, because we're here to represent the health and safety of our community. And even though we don't have a fire department in our community, we have agreements with 2 volunteer fire departments that serve our citizens. So it is going to tax their resource. 1,770 houses. That's probably more than they have, or close to half of what they have in their district already. So, something to consider.
Okay, so back to the citizens for a second. Is there anybody else sitting in the audience that wants to jump up? Come on up.
Sorry, I didn't.
No, just step up to the mic so we can get you, but I want to make sure we have all the conversation we need to have on this, and appreciate you coming out, so we want to let you speak.
My name is Stephanie Rankin. I am actually not a poetry citizen. I live down off of 2434 and 2470. This project directly affects all of those houses and through there. I'm one of the citizens that has put together a community group and has done quite a bit of research concerning all of this. One of the things this council really needs to understand is that this particular project is not a singular project in this area. The one that Rockwall County is fighting, over there, the mud number 10, over off of 548, its wastewater treatment plant will also indirectly, but will end up in our Renfro Creek. Wildwood up on Poetry, it ends up in our Renfro Creek, which, by the way, is part of the reason why our flooding this year was a little bit worse. Yeah. This one is 1.8 million gallons per day at its peak once this is done. And they have no plan in which to mitigate any of that. All of that hits our Sabine Creek watershed, which all ends up into Lake Tawakoni. Now, you guys buy your water from Terrell, and Terrell buys it from Dallas. That's Dallas's water source. All of that, and the tanks are an issue, but all of that water, in spite of what they say about it being safe drinking water, that effluent that comes out of there, they proved down in one of those muds that they were having a problem with is down in, one is in Fort Worth and one is down by San Antonio, where they have had 2 issues. One is the disposal of the waste that they get from those micro plants, and they were spreading it on fields, and now it's caused a toxic issue that they're going to have to dig up all of that land and topsoil it. They really don't have the studies. All of these successive issues of these micro plants are causing an issue. And the biggest example of that is Liberty Heights in Houston. Because of all of that, when all those hurricanes came through and all of those micro plants flooded, now they are having problems with this brain, eating amoebas. And I know it all sounds real sciencey, but it is a direct problem with these micro plants. And Renfro Creek doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal, but it actually is. It is a problem that they're going to say once they've sold it and gone, oh, it's your problem now. And I think that part of this negotiation has to address that. Eckenrode would like to wash his hands of it because I think he knows that the tanks are a problem. In fact, I know he does. Yeah. When Jill Dutton was still in office, before her and Brent took over her office, he had called her office and trying to negotiate out of the hearings. And when she wouldn't negotiate, he basically said, okay, we're done talking. He knows this is a problem, which is the reason why they're trying to offload it.
The other issue is the aquifer, because it's not a big one.
And Cash just spent I can't remember, $1.4 billion to develop that whole Cash Water District. It is in the same place at 2434 and 2472. That's where that ends. Developed all that water. They can pull off of that as well. Blackland is not their only option.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Anybody else in the audience? Okay, back to council. So again, my objective for the meeting, I don't get to vote, but I'll encourage you. My objective is that we make a decision as a council. And the majority of you agree on whatever direction we go. If there's a fourth option, I'm all ears, but.
Well, I think we always should have options on the table. Councilman Fowler is spot on as far as emergency services to the community, and sitting here and listening to the community and our conversations. In fact, we may look at planning of getting these groups together and discuss and fight with the lack of emergency services, school districts, that sort of thing, if they're not already involved, to get them involved, to kind of fight it on the backside instead of just going like, okay, well, it's a mud district, it's an ETJ, we don't hands off or whatever, but it does pose a threat to communities that are surrounding us. And I think that's a bigger fight for people to be involved with than it is on those, mud districts. There's more for them than there are against them. So just a thought that maybe we need to look. I mean, negotiations is staying in point with the agenda. Negotiations are going to be from now on with this council and future councils, but we've got to figure out and have other ways of negotiating or contributing to some facts to these projects.
And I'd point out one of the things that the lawyer, Mindy Coney, told me is that if we contest it, there is no negotiation, period. If we don't contest it and go to this, try to do the negotiations, whatever it is, then that doesn't necessarily end say the 24th of November that the TCEQ approves this, the negotiations don't end, they can go on.
Right.
But if we contest, we lose all negotiating ability. Now that Mr. Berman might have a different opinion, because I don't know, but that's what she told me. And so she said, if you're going to contest, forget a negotiation. We're not going to do it. So I guess it's kind of falling in line with what you're saying, Doug, is that if we don't contest, even if it's approved, we still get to negotiate, because the way they talked is we're not going to see dozers out there turning dirt anytime soon. It's going to be a while. And so, that's because they've got so many other studies like the water study to do. So we do have time to negotiate in some way. But then, if we contest it, we don't. We spend a lot of money, go to Austin, hire a trial attorney, which I'm disappointed it wouldn't be Mr. Berman. But then if we lose, or which we would probably lose, and at that point, then we've also lost the ability to negotiate as time goes on. And it sounds like to me that it's still going to be a long time, maybe several years, before any dirt starts turning. And in that case, we do have time to negotiate. So,
well, and I think the legislative landscape I would throw in is of the town, right? The things that we have at our disposal may change also, right, in that time. So,
well, that's true. So I guess, we're at a disadvantage, because if we contest and lose, then we lose any ability to talk with them going forward, and whether it's with Ray Ecken Road or with the other developers. Now,
Well, and that's also money that we lose for subdivision ordinances and getting things online if we need. You
For
know,
other
I mean,
things too,
Yeah.
I
yeah.
don't think we have a
Yeah.
whole lot of choice in
Yeah,
this.
our
It's
money,
Yeah.
our money needs to be supporting the future negotiations, I feel like.
Well,
Yeah, that's our best approach, is to get in there and get it. It's coming, no matter what we say. The best thing we can do is figure out, go in from the standpoint, what can we get out of the deal?
Now, let me throw in, and I'm not an expert on this. I've been riding along with the rest of you in the back seat, but I'm not sure that the permit being granted takes away down the road issues that could also stop this thing, right?
Yeah, because you're still gotta go.
I
to
mean,
the
if
county.
they find out the soil's contaminated 2 years from now,
They're not
that's
gonna wanna
still a
build
problem,
anything.
right? The EPA and
Mhm.
others are gonna still have an issue with that. So I
It's a
don't think,
hiccup.
this is just my opinion, it doesn't seem like the permit being granted gives them a pass to come in and destroy the environment or to, you know, just ignore stuff that's going, I mean, they're gonna have to follow the rules, whatever. When it gets to the point that there's this is all kind of hypothetical development right now, because they're just getting it entitled. But once an actual development is proposed and we or Kaufman County looks at it and says it doesn't meet
Yeah.
So,
wastewater, it doesn't
that's
meet
exactly what's
runoff,
gonna
or it
happen.
doesn't
They're
meet
gonna
water
approve it.
conservation.
If they're gonna approve the deal, then it goes back to the county. The county's gonna approve their site plan and their development plan. It goes back to that. So that's when we kick in. And
And
what
say
we
this is
need
what
to
we
spend
want.
time right now is talking to the county commissioners and the judges and things like that in Hunt County. And say, hey, Monroe, you know what happens when this, that happens to our roads? That's why we're gonna go in there for. We want roads. Our approach should be, after talking to Monroe, it says, okay, what is our position on roads? Well, we want money to take our roads, and we'll get the studies. They'll be forced to do the studies. We'll take our roads, our poetry roads, to a farm to market road. That's what you're gonna have to compensate us for. Because once it goes to a farm to market road, then it becomes state.
so
See.
let me understand something here. So the lawyers told y'all yesterday that if we can test this with TCEQ, they won't deal with us, negotiate,
No, it wasn't yesterday. It was
or whatever it is.
about 2 weeks ago when I talked with Mindy
Okay.
Crony.
So it's our right to contest this with TCEQ, regardless.
It's gonna-
And we don't have to go to trial. We're just contesting the mud district with TCEQ.
No,
You are going to
if
trial.
you go to trial. If we fill out
I
that
don't-
form and send it in, we
We're going
are
to trial.
going to trial. It's an administrative court.
I don't think that's. I'm sorry, it's not right.
Then,
is not
then
right.
vote for Jason and send him down there and let him change the law because
It's not right. Well, I think there are other people that are contesting stuff like this with TCQ.
It's not
they're
just, hey,
tying our
I don't want it to
hands.
happen. We did that. We passed a resolution and Hunt County passed a resolution and it's on file, I'm sure, but that doesn't change anything. This is, if you want to contest it, which means go to an administrative court where there's testimonies and depositions and a trial judge, and I mean, it's a full-fledged, and
Well,
from my,
I would like to have that information in my hands to make a decision on this from TCQ telling me that yes, if you contest this, you will go to court with us. I mean, why can we not contest it and have a hearing? Period. And we go down there and
for what you're
represent
saying,
ourselves.
so you're saying you want it to be that we just fill out a form and submit it and that's it, or you're saying you want the hearing? I mean, the hearing is the trial. That's the court case.
And contesting,
So we're fighting TCQ. Is that what you're saying?
No.
no.
So who are we fighting? This is a contested
Well,
for TCQ.
Right.
well, these
Well,
people have said we want a permit, and we're coming in kind of like
Saying
standing up at a
they
wedding
want
and
a
saying,
permit.
I have a reason why they shouldn't be
So
married,
what
right?
happened to
I know-
all the petitions that we sent to TCQ, telling them we didn't want this?
It's,
What happened to all that?
Well,
They-
you
they-
heard what Mike said
They accepted
when he
the
read-
application back in August. That kind of told you
when
where they're
Mike
at.
read the things that they won't consider, and that includes noise and
right,
all
property
this.
values, whatever.
And so, you know, when we sent those in, that basically those were things that didn't really matter to TCQ.
Well,
This is
what
a
I'm trying to
property
get at,
rights issue.
what I'm trying to get at is, did TCU tell us that if we contest this, we go to trial, or did the attorneys that we spoke to recently tell us that?
Well, that's
Well, if
just
you
the
go to a
process. I don't,
trial, they're not gonna
How do we know
negotiate
it's a
with you.
process? Has anybody talked to TCEQ?
Oh, well, I have talked to
Yeah.
the ones both in Fort Worth and the ones in Austin. And, you know, but we didn't talk about the contesting and does it mean going to trial? It was about the process of trying to find out, are the tanks there? Is there any soil contamination, et cetera?
I'm just trying to make sure we're not getting snowed by an attorney.
Well, I guess that comes down to Mr. Berman. He's our attorney, and I guess he's the one that anyone that would know the answer to that more than the rest of us. And you're right. I mean, just because their lawyer said that
Exactly.
doesn't mean it's true.
Exactly.
well, wait, it says, so let me read this. Okay, this is citizens and council both got this. This is, you need to fill this out by a certain time. The executive director may approve, this is TCEQ, the petition unless a written request for a contested case hearing is filed within 30 days after the newspaper publication, that's end of November roughly, of this notice. If a hearing request is filed, the executive director will not approve the petition and will forward the petition and hearing request to the TCEQ commissioners for their consideration at a scheduled commission meeting. If a contested case hearing is held, it will be a legal proceeding similar to a civil trial in state district court.
Well, why can't we contest it?
Well,
When
we
we
have to
get
be
that-
ready to go to court, though.
Not
Yeah.
necessarily.
Yeah, that's what the letter says.
No, it doesn't. It says it's a hearing. The board, the TCEQ board makes the decision. Once it gets down to this bottom sentence down here, we're done. We're not going to go that far, but at least we can contest it.
Well,
And not pay a
I
dime.
read, if a contested case hearing is held, it will be a court case.
Okay.
So let me throw in my 2 cents. I'm probably more on board with you than anybody else in here. I want to say contested with all exclamation points behind it because of the reasons we know, because of the Renfro Creek runoff, because of future developments that's going to dump more water on there, because of the impact it has on our citizens, all those reasons. I say fight. Let's do it. On the other end of that teeter-totter, we're fiduciaries for this town
Right.
who have to be fiduciary responsible with the money that
I
we
get
spend.
that.
And right in the middle is what everybody else is talking about, negotiation. If you look at a teeter-totter at that fulcrum, it doesn't move, and neither will these negotiations. We'll enter into the negotiations so we don't contest it and then get it approved, and then they don't have to give us anything in the
But tell you what I'm
negotiations.
saying, there's nobody other than the attorneys that said if you could test it,
I-
there's no negotiation.
I read it closer to mine, but I'm okay with that. We just have to decide as fiduciaries of this town if we want to invest that money.
Well, and slam that
Well,
door shut.
Who
It's-
said that there's money involved?
What if it goes to a hearing?
if
If
we
all
just-
that is true, if we can accept that as true, there's going to be money involved. If we can agree or disagree,
Yeah.
but if it is true, big if, all caps,
Right.
if it is true, it will cost us money. But to the argument we slam all doors shut, I don't think we have any power in negotiation, anyways.
Exactly.
But the negotiations, guys, is not gonna happen till we get back to the county level where we have some say so.
But
With Austin, screw it. We
Okay,
can't-
so
we're
let
not gonna
me-
get anything out of Austin other than a.
No, the
But
negotiation
here's-
would be with
Okay.
with the owners.
but
Yeah.
here's the thing.
Well, we can negotiate
Let's
with the county.
let's just fictitiously say that whoever owns it now sells it again. Is that mud district still in play, or do they have to reapply?
No, I think it would be sold with the mud district.
I don't like that. I don't like it.
I don't either.
But we're not gonna get into any of that until we have a developer. What we can do right now is you don't do that, but understand, we're gonna come at you with drainage and roads and fire and safety and police and everything else. We just keep talking that at all the meetings. But when they have, we don't even know where the ingress and egress points are. We can't negotiate anything until we see it, until it goes to a developer.
So why not contest it now?
But why?
Exactly.
Why waste that effort when you're going to lose? I would much rather take all that effort and go work in our positions with the counties and things, and organizing some like rock wall and
This contest
and
gives us the time.
county at the county level.
The contest of the mud district gives us the time to seek those other people for those hearings. The impact on the infrastructure, the impact on the county, the impact
Okay,
on all those people.
how are we going to get that information to put forth a good case? Where do we get that information on?
You're
drainage?
saying the impact?
Yeah, you're going to have to show it. You're going to have to get somebody like Kimberly Horn or somebody to.
Well,
you
and
know,
I mean,
high
they
dollar
haven't
RR
even
engineers
they
to do
haven't
some
even
kinda
committed to
study.
a road study.
Actually,
We'll never
we,
get there.
we did ask, and Kimberly Horn will do the environmental study,
Yeah.
assuming that they get
Well, the
hired
thing
on
we
by
need to
the
argue is
developer.
the developer's going to pay for it. We're going to contest it at the county level until we see these reports. Therefore, county,
But-
before you approve their
But then
deal,
they're going to
make
say,
them do the
but
studies.
then they're going to say, why didn't you contest it with TCQ? Now you're coming to the county and contesting
Because
it.
you're dealing with Austin and then dealing with county. I mean, I think.
I mean, the county's not going to contest it.
And we're not going to necessarily contest it. What we're going to do is get everything we need out of it.
What makes them willing to negotiate with us? What
Because the
power
county-
do we
Because
have?
the county's not going to approve their plat
On what basis?
They can't.
because of our argument.
What can they
Because
deny
we can go to
it
the
for?
county commissioner and say, look at our roads. They're 20 feet wide. We've got 1,700 houses. If you give them 4 day trips a day, that's 6,800 vehicles when fully developed. 6,800. We know what
And that's
Poetry
not
Road
all.
does. Look at Poetry Road. What's our big reading there? 1,100 cars a day. Think about it. Almost
Nobody's denying
seven
that. Nobody's
times
denying
that.
that.
6
no.
times it.
But why do you think that the county is going to do something?
Because they represent, we elect
Okay.
them.
And we represent our
That's
citizens that are
right.
saying fight.
But the county, you're not going to stop the development. What you say is, okay, developers, you can come in and do this, but we're going to need some money to widen the roads, do left turn lane. You take the D.R. Horton. If Rockwall County would have made them put a left turn lane in going north and a decel right hand lane going out.
Well, that even brings up another point.
Well,
We
that's
should
what
have
I'm saying.
been
That's the
talking
kind
to
of stuff.
Rockwall
That's the kind
about
of stuff
that
we're
deal
going
about
to
it
do.
flooding our
But
roads.
we take all of our roads, and you're going to give us something to go from your point of ingress
I agree.
to a county road.
I agree, but we do not lose that ability to have those conversations with a contestant.
Maybe
Because
you do.
if we lose at the mud hearing, those conversations are still going to happen on the county level.
All right, well, let's look at probability. What is our probability that we'll be
Well, that's the
successful?
fiduciary argument that I'm trying.
Yeah.
I see both
Yeah.
sides.
What's our probability? Let's put a probability on it. Let's go spend $100,000.
Maybe.
What's our probability of succeeding?
Why can't we just go down there as council and fight for ourselves?
Well, you go down there as citizens.
So
and
you
as a
citizens,
council.
you can't.
I mean, I think
That's what I'm
there's
saying.
enough people
Let's
up
take
here that would go down.
$100,000 and do something else with it, and because our probability is next to nothing.
Well, really, we don't have any leverage over a citizen because they're not in our town. I mean,
Yeah.
we're affected by it,
Yeah.
but anybody that wants to
Well-
speak can speak.
Right, exactly. But it's impact. Your development is going to impact our drainage and our streets. Therefore, we want some kind of compensation. That's what impact fees are all about. And that's where we go to, but we work through the county commissioners and whatever organization deals with the drainage, and there's an organization out there, and figure out that. And there's probably studies, but we go out there and let's get everything we can get. I mean, excuse my French, but we need to be a whore and go after everything we can get on this thing.
Well, but we can. It's the question is, do we contest it or not? All that
No,
stuff will still
no.
happen.
No, I think we go and talk. We stay public. We put our foot out there. They're going to see us at all the meetings. But at the same time, let's work with the county.
Well, I think to your
Do the same thing with Rockwall. Go to the Rockwall County Commissioners. They're doing a thing in there. They're going to get this traffic too.
Yeah, they just
Half of
passed
it's-
7 budgets. I shouldn't have.
Okay.
So if we contest it, it doesn't change any of those arguments. Would you agree? We still have those arguments.
Right.
If we can test it and we find out that it's going to be a $50,000 bill, we can still elect not to participate in that hearing.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm more in line with Tracy saying
I'm
let's do
saying.
it and let's see if there's
A chance.
some kind of firm out there that says, yeah, we'll stand up and fight for that. Or the county says, yeah, we'll go down there and fight for that.
All right.
Probably a 0%. You asked for probability. Probably closer to 0. But we don't lose all those other arguments that you have by filing a contested
That's
hearing.
right.
Tinsley's good, so there's all that, they're the
Well,
form
they-
of
well,
society.
you-
That's all.
I
But
mean,
we're still going to the county.
Yeah.
We're not
That's right.
negotiating with them.
That's
we're
right.
negotiating through the county.
county.
Would you agree? I don't think we lose any of that.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with
I
anything
just
you
don't
said.
think we spend money doing it.
Well, maybe we don't.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't have to.
But we can.
Well, to your point, though, we could stop this anytime we want, right? If we
Absolutely.
realize
Exactly.
the bill is more than we can afford, we can say,
Exactly.
you know what, we're out.
Absolutely.
At least it puts our footprint that says we don't want mud districts, and we will fight as citizens, as council, to
Now, I
Trust
will
them.
say, though, kind of to Tom's point, that the little bit that I do know about these developers coming into towns where towns don't have the ability to do much, it is only through the cooperative relationship that the town ends up getting a lot of things, right? It's not because of ordinance or code or other things, because the developer's like, listen, we're gonna follow the rules, but we're not gonna be overly generous because you're hostile.
I don't believe I don't agree with that. I think they will. We're not hostile. We're trying to protect
Well, I
the
know.
citizens.
Hostile, though, it's like impacts their bank account because it is for profit.
Well, that's where sometimes misconceptions, not being hostile sometimes is what you get when you get run over. So if we contest it, because I'm not sure how the language would be, Mayor, if you're going to present a motion of sorts. Because what I'm hearing is if we contest it, yes, we can back out at any time, especially when it comes to money. But at the same time, if we were contest it, could we contest it based on some of the facts that we brought up this evening? You know,
Well, it
with-
says let me read their language again. To request a contested case hearing, you must submit the following. 1, your name, or for a group or association, official representative, mailing
can
address,
afford
date,
that.
time, phone number, fax number. Number 2, you must present the name of the petitioners and the TCEQ control number. And the statement needs to read, we request a contested case hearing. Number 4, a brief description of how you would be affected by the petition in a way not common to the general public. 5, the location of your property relative to the proposed district's boundaries. You may also submit your proposed adjustments to the petition, which would satisfy your concerns. Request for a contested case hearing must be submitted in writing to the office of the chief clerk at the address provided. So
So
that's
how many
DCEQ's language.
how many of y'all have spring fed ponds on your property?
What?
How many of you have spring fed ponds on your property? I have one. I don't know my neighbors have one. I think both of my neighbors have one. That all comes from that little bitty aquifer. So our tanks are going to dry up if they build 1,700 houses over there. If they drill wells to get off that aquifer, how you gonna water your livestock?
Well, what he's saying, one of the requirements is something that is not common.
Right.
That's not
All
common.
right. What's common? What is not common in our argument?
The 6 times the amount of traffic on our roadways.
Right.
With
And our protection,
the things they can't.
The
on
width
your
of our
ship,
roadways.
You stuck in the front.
our public safety protection.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says one of the things they cannot consider is increased traffic.
Okay, so roads are a no. It could be
Yeah,
structural
they're setting
roads.
it up.
Okay, you can say that, but let's lawyer this. It's
Well-
the financial impact. We're not talking about the traffic
Right.
and how much. It's the financial impact to maintain those roads.
There you
But
go.
that's where we're going to go to them for the money.
But that's also a reason to fight them, contest them now.
Well-
And it's more, to me, it's more about the runoff and all that. But the runoff is not in the city.
True.
It's ETJ runoff.
Well, there might be a little bit along 2440, maybe.
I don't have enough service to pull it up. I'm trying to look.
Yeah, there might be a little bit, but it's still, it's going to create some water flow issues when they when they upgrade the roads to handle the 6,800 cars a day. Then that's going to create runoff, and we're going to end up dealing with this.
Well,
Well,
and
so
here's
we-
the other thing. There's water rights too.
Here we don't have too much, but yeah.
Okay,
But
so
we
we
control historical flows.
need
Right.
to,
We can do that.
this needs to be, if we can test it, it needs to be in their hands by
November 24th.
24th,
right?
which
So we
is,
gotta mail it a week ahead or a few days ahead at least.
exactly,
to make
because
sure it
that's
gets there.
by the way, Mike, that's a Monday. So in all likelihood, it needs to be there by the Friday before.
Right, well, I'm just sort of backing up. I mean, if there's more to this conversation, we can stay here later, we can have another session. I'm not opposed, but we need to decide and then get it to them, come up with our argument, whatever that is, because it's gotta be in writing. Here's what we think is unfair about this. And then I was reminded here by someone that, you know, Judge Frank New, who's the judge that's runs the mayor's council and the Rockwall Transportation Consortium, is currently being sued by D.R. Horton over them trying to put some stipulations on things. So, you know, this, I don't know, you know, I think the two things that I worry about, I appreciate what Terry's saying about fiscal responsibility,
do.
because don't forget, we got a lawsuit hanging out there too.
Right.
And that's like a big question mark. That could cost us a lot of money at any point in time.
Well, let's just get to the point where it starts costing money, and then we make a decision whether we can move forward or not.
Well, and two, I would like to think, not that we can't change course, but this is not the last time we're going to talk about one of these, right? I mean, okay, solar farm, maybe a little less threatening, mud, we're going to get hit. I mean, guess what's coming out next? The Hunt property. That's going to be your next mud district.
Yeah.
Is the Hunt property right there in 986, and it's
The
going to happen
Lamar
sooner.
Ranch,
Huh?
the Lamar Ranch.
Yeah, it's going to happen sooner than later, and boy, that's going to be big.
And it's right there on our doorstep.
That's going to be giant, and I'm
And
sure we're going to
Hunt-
have opinions and weigh in and
Hunts
all
are
that, but
listed in court.
yeah, we got to be,
Well,
we got to
and
think
they've done-
about how I mean, to me, it's not so much a sprint as it is a marathon, right? How are we going to manage this stuff ongoing? And I think to Doug's points, or to Dale's points, you know, I think we have the counties and their development people, and we have ordinances. We have the ability as a council to create more things than we currently have that will help this, because just because they get the package plant and all approved doesn't mean they can proceed. The next steps all have to be approved individually for whatever,
At
you
the
know,
county level.
right, at the county level, or it could be the city level if we had that stuff back in our court. But anyway, we just gotta, you know, I don't want to blow, and I think we're talking about a way that we might not do that. Everything we got on this one, and then if we pull the handle and lose, we're like, you know, now I'm homeless. So,
We're not if we lose, we're no different than we are currently.
well, if depending on whether we spent a lot of money losing or not.
Well, we don't intend to spend money.
Well,
Let's
my
just
only
say
thing
that.
is, where do we spend our time and effort and money? Where do we get the biggest bang for the buck?
That's why I'm saying, let's wait till we get to the money situation. We come back to the table and renegotiate.
But it's, all right, then throw out the obvious question then, by filling out this petition
Mhm.
and filing the petition, what is that going to do to our chances down the road?
Nothing.
Well,
Nothing. They
I
have to go
don't know
through the
that.
county.
Well-
I mean, I appreciate your opinion, but we need to talk to someone with a little more knowledge.
But here's what I got out of our discussion yesterday is that, you know, say we file for a contested hearing, that Ray Eckenrode, and it is Ray Eckenrode, forget the lawyers, it's him. They're not going to negotiate, because he's saying that's the developers that come off downstream.
And that's true.
And so we file a contested hearing, and Ray will sit there and twiddle his thumbs, and then we come in and say, okay, well, sorry, we're not going to spend the money to do this. Well, we haven't gained anything, because
we haven't lost
Ray,
anything.
yeah,
Well,
we have.
We've lost the friendly negotiation.
We've-
Ray Eckenrode is not going to be who we're negotiating with.
Well,
We're
that's,
negotiating with the developers.
well, we
but
got,
he's offering the opportunity, and I'm not favoring one
Who
or the
is
other.
he? Ray Eckenroad, what is he?
He
Who
owns the
is-
property. He's representing the ownership of the property,
Okay,
so.
unless
got-
he
he's gotta
plans on
package it.
developing
He's got to
developing
package
it,
to sell it. to
that's
the-
right.
And he can encumber that land in any way that he wants.
Right.
But I guess here's my point is there's not going to be any negotiations
No, because
And-
they're being negotiating
No,
in that county.
because Ray hasn't done it, doesn't have any reason to negotiate. He's going to sit there and because he knows that he's going to be able to win with the TCEQ. That's where they spend their money for campaigns, is to get these guys on board. So we're not going to beat them. We're just going to spend a lot of money. We can wait for a year and we'd say, well, we're not going to spend the money now. Well, we've already lost the relationship with Ray, who's a tough guy, and he's not going to be the one that's down the road in 20 years that'll have it. It'll be somebody else.
Yeah.
So we've spent a lot of time and nothing's happened.
Right.
And
we
then
won't
we
know what to ask for because there's no site plan. We
well,
don't know where the points of
Well,
I
they're not
just
going to
gets to
produce
the-
one because they're
Right,
not the
until
developer.
I
it
mean-
gets to the developer.
And they're
we get
probably
to
not
the
going to
county
produce
level.
one right now for the main reason that they have issues that they know of now because of your research, Tom, and they're trying to decide whether they can sell it or not under a mud district.
well, no, and I guess, and look, I have to tell you, I agree with you, Terry.
I-
Sorry,
I know.
Terry and
Tracy.
Tracy both. Is that, yeah, my feeling is, yeah, we ought to be contesting it, but I come down to the practical side is we're not going to get it, and we're going to ruin any chance we have for a relationship with Ray Eckenroad and Ben Pogue.
What other property does Ray Eckenroad own in our area?
Our area being North Texas.
Just in the Portrait
Well,
area.
he and Ben Pogue. Ben Pogue's a builder and Ray's the developer. And yes, they do own different developments, and Ben's done a lot of construction work, municipal and otherwise.
Oh,
But I can't sit here and tell you I know which. I did read up on them because they do list on their website the places that they've developed. And so, yes, they've developed them. And so, in fact, both Ben and Ray took over businesses from their fathers. They didn't start these from scratch. They're both in their late 40s, mid to late 40s. They both graduated from A&M about the same time. Ray is in business, and Ben is in his degree in construction science or something like that. So they know what they're doing, and they took over things. They have money because they took over their father's businesses. So they have the money to fight it, and they know
So let
they
me
do this
let-
all
let-
the time.
Let me ask you this, Tom. If we can test it, we're not fighting Ray Eckenroad. We are fighting TCEQ.
I don't believe that. I don't think that's right. Because
Nobody at this table has proved me wrong.
because who's going to put up the lawyers to go in and argue? See, a trial
does
has
this-
two sets of lawyers.
I
They have-
understand.
and
I
the- and the
understand
set of
how the
lawyers-
law works. I
but-
understand how the law works.
Okay, but-
this is a hearing, not a trial.
So-
a hearing.
Yes, it is the
Let's
trial.
make a short list of what we're going to contest. Tell me what to write down. What are we going to contest?
Water supply.
Water supply. They're going to build wells.
It
and
didn't
they're
say
gonna
that
go to
it did,
cash, and
doesn't
they're
say
gonna go
what
for-
it doesn't say water supply on that list.
All right, I can solve the water problem. What's your next issue?
Contaminated soil.
That's a nothing burger.
Why is
The contamination through our
if it contains
our soils, our sandy loam soils, it eventually percolates, and they'll go out there and figure out what the plume is. It's called a plume, and then they'll say, okay, you got to go pop down a couple of test wells, and they'll come out there, pay a service to come out there every once. in a
they
while,
have to do
get a
that for
sample.
25 years.
Okay, you know what? It doesn't matter. That's not going to stop anything, because as long as they're not getting the water in that plume, it doesn't matter. The water's coming from a pipe from their wells, their treatment facility, or cash, or Blackland.
Well, but they're talking
So
about
if you're
getting
not
it from the
wor- if you're not-
aquifer.
Well, if you're not dealing with getting the water in the contaminated area, it's a nothing burger. It's only when you're trying to get water or use that. if it's contaminated. But if it's just one or two tanks, the plume is
Well, first, we
maybe a
don't
half
know.
acre.
Those,
It's a nothing.
the airport's been out of service for over 10 years,
Yeah.
maybe 15
Yeah.
years. So we don't know that there's been leaks, and we won't know until we do that.
You do the test.
And that,
There's been a
but
wreck.
that's,
We know
that
that there's
won't
been an
happen.
accident out there.
But wait a minute, that won't happen until it gets to the environmental study. They
Exactly.
told us.
At the
That's
developer.
by the developers,
Right.
not by Ray Eckenrode.
I agree.
So
And
they're
there's
moving,
five-
they're going to
four of
move
those
forward.
studies.
So I guess I see the timing wise, which I don't like it, but it's the fact. The timing wise of this is that a contested hearing is going to happen before we know any more about the water or the soil.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, we've spent money.
I love the term negotiation, but when I'm talking about the citizens that I serve and how this could potentially affect them, I would rather fight. That's
Well-
just
Fine.
just
Well,
how I am.
yeah, of course, all of us feel that
You're
way,
entitled to that.
but then
Yeah.
there's a lot of money that we have to get
We
involved
don't
in.
have to spend any money.
Oh yeah, I'm saying, Tracy, we will spend the money before we get these other
You gotta
two
come up
issues
with this
resolved.
list, people.
Right.
But
But
those-
we have to have something to write on it.
But those
No
are,
water.
Yeah, we
but
need a
those two
basis.
issues are outside the year for the trial.
All right.
And it is a trial.
That's-
And in the meantime, we've spent a lot of money.
So throwing all these ideas on the table, whatever, it's not a fight TCEQ. TCEQ is just a government entity that had a applicant for a permit.
But it says they're going to be the one doing the hearing. TCQ.
That's their job as far as being the entity for the permit process.
But they won't be arguing the hearing. The arguing will be by Ray Eckenrode's
It's
lawyers.
going to be for everybody at the
And our
table
lawyer.
to argue.
Well,
The other thing is,
About an hour long.
the other thing is, I keep
I know.
sitting here thinking and looking and listening. We're sure are doing a lot of discussion over an ETJ. I mean, that's, in our ETJ. And we're looking at, as we already know, there's other projects coming down the road and stewards of money and whatever. Yeah, if we could do something and say, okay, now you owe us $1,000, I tell you what, we're gonna let it rest for a little while. Don't know if that can happen or not. I'm not sure, but that is an ETJ territorial stuff when there's a lot of other land inside of our jurisdiction that we really made a part of our decisions as well.
I would disagree just on the fact of what our town looks like. Everything that's going to affect us is going to be ETJ. So that argument not necessarily relevant with me. I do lean more towards Tracy. I want to fight, but as a fiduciary and building relationships, I do think we burn the bridge down by the contested hearing. I do think it will eventually cost us money, and we'll have to vote to continue that fight or not. I don't know if I'm okay with burning the relationship down, even though I think it's going to have an impact on Renfro Creek and several people in the ETJ. They're just on the outskirts of our ETJ. There's nothing to say that a developer can't come anywhere inside that gerrymandered map right there and start another one. So the ETJ argument, we are an ETJ is what we are.
Yeah.
With
True.
small boundary
Yeah,
lines.
wait till Lamar Ranch.
Yeah.
It's in our ETJ.
Yeah, most towns look like that. Unfortunately, ours is just a skeleton of what most towns look like.
Well, I guess I've made my point. I don't like it, but
Yeah.
I do see that I think our best chance, and especially as you say from the fiduciary side, is to try to negotiate and build a relationship with Ray Eckenrode and Ben Pogue. And it is Ben Pogue too. His name is on a lot of these documents that we have. So they're pretty much in it as partners. Even though we just talked with Ray yesterday, they're about the same age.
Is it
went to
Pogue
school.
with a P or Rogue?
P-O-G,
That's what I thought.
G-O-G.
Rogue is the
Because
entity.
okay, yeah.
Rogue is the entity that owns Bishop Field,
okay.
but Ben Pogue is
The
part of Rogue as well as other LLCs. It's a whole series of
You're right.
LLCs.
It's
So-
the First Baptist Dallas guys.
well, yeah, that's, I don't know that, but on the other hand, and now,
We have a stalker.
yeah, and I talked to, by the way, Sean Rassinger about Pogue because he knows Pogue, and he's a builder, and his father was a builder, and I guess they're credible builders. They've done a lot of
They didn't do a
municipal
very
work.
good job on the stadium in Allen.
They did. I didn't know they did, Alan, but
Oh, yeah.
they do a lot. Anyway,
Yeah.
so that's what
So-
it kind of comes down to is that, are we going to try to talk or get something with Ray and Ben, or are we going to, shoot them off and then spend a lot of money?
When can we start those negotiations?
Immediately.
Yeah, absolutely.
We just start making relationships, create relationships.
I mean, Tracy, for one thing, is that Ray, in our call yesterday, said, go ahead and have the TCUQ call him about going to look at the tanks to see if they're there. Now,
What about the E EPA?
well, the EPA, when I talked to them, they said they don't get involved until it's a cleanup. That if there's a cleanup, that's definitely them, but they're federal. But they said in this stage, it's all TCEQ. But the woman was EPA out of Dallas, the Region 6, I think it is, was real understanding and all, but she said we can't do it until they determine there's a spill to clean up. And then the EPA, because of the Superfund,
Yeah, but it's a super fund. You probably wouldn't.
It has to
well,
qualify.
yeah, that's where they get
You
their
have to qualify.
Yeah, well, yeah, but the Superfund's where, all of us, when they buy crude oil, they put money into it,
Yeah.
and it's been it's enormous trust fund that's out there, and so that's what actually would be, what my experience is, would be used to clean up if there's a cleanup involved. But before we even get to that, it's TCEQ, she told me. So at this point, I don't see any contested hearing. It's not possible that with the timing that we're not going to get the answers that Dale said on either the water or the soil, because that's going to be done by the developers, which is more than a year away. And so in the
Took
meantime,
them a year to design it.
oh yeah, it's a long time. So anyway, it's still coming down to, I don't like it, but on the practical side, I just think we've got to
I
go
would
ahead
love
and
to
try
just
to
stick with the
negotiate.
citizens that we have and not add to it.
Well, I'll put it this way.
And I'd rather have them than what's coming.
Well, I'll put it this way. I mean, it's up to us as a council to get to know Ray and Ben. And I say us, it starts with Mike. He's
Yeah.
the chief executive. I mean, if he didn't want to get to know him, well, then the rest of us wouldn't matter. But if Mike wants to get to know him and then we get involved and then see what we can do, I think we have a chance. I think these are decent guys. I don't think these are fly-by-night people. They're not. Now, the developers they sell to may be, but I don't think either one of these two guys are. They're here in North Texas. So I think we have a chance to talk with them, assuming, that's what we want to do. And then there's no guarantee. But then there's no guarantee if we contest it other than because of the timing issue, we'll spend a lot of money
Now,
and we'll alienate Ray and Ben.
let me throw in, Tom, to your point. So after the call, about an hour after the call, my phone rang and it was Ray.
Oh,
And, he thanked me for the opportunity for us to have a conversation. And he said, I mean, he's not trying to steer us either way, but he said, listen, I am absolutely willing, one, to let people on the land to pursue the tanks. He said, trust me, we want to know if there's a problem with this land. We want to know that because we need to deal with it sooner than later so that they can sell it, but also expressed his willingness to sit down and, give it their best effort to negotiate and talk about things. And again, this development agreement that would become basically a covenant on the deed on the property, as he talked about with the three of us, that would follow it, that would commit to some things. I mean, they talked about, what they could and what they couldn't, but the spirit of it would be, I don't know, I just feel like, kind of backing away for this for a minute, that we're going to have a lot of these conversations. I mean, this is not the last time. I mean, if let's fast forward and pretend like we were successful in killing this one for some reason. I mean, they're going to start hitting us on every front. And, one of the things that I guess he expressed in our phone call with the three of us was, typically what they offer to the city is, hey, you're going to get property taxes off. Of course, we have no ad valorem tax. We have no city tax. So that doesn't help, right? They kind of lose one of their little treats that they could offer. Hey, all those houses are going to be paying you a city tax. Well, no, actually they're not. Now, if you use our trash person or you you know, or included in sales tax or something like that, it would help, but.
Well, I think that's a good point. So Tracy, just follow me on the relationship deal. We did speak about franchise fees yesterday.
Yes.
And I told him that that would be decided by legal counsel, but the application of our current franchise fees, if your driveway, any of your property touched the town, that you had to pay the trash franchise fee. Well, with them buying that small piece of land, that strip of land that attaches to 2440, I don't know, lawyers would have to figure that out if that makes that whole development now franchisable, where we could charge them that. But
That would
maybe,
be
maybe
the
not.
only
That
point of access
that
either.
right. So that would be a legal question. But if we burn that bridge down, just sitting here thinking while Mike's talking, that might be something that they would agree to put in that development plan, that we will pay you a franchise fee on every plastic bin that's in this development, and we will use the company that y'all use so it has less impact in your roads. Then that would generate money for us if we don't burn that bridge down.
Well, and also
It's just a talking point.
sales
though.
tax was another one. He said they might be amenable to making
We would
everybody
get
in that
sales tax
development.
anyway.
I don't think so. It's in the ETJ.
It's in ETJ.
I pay sales tax.
Your property, your driveway.
Driveway.
It's a driveway.
Is
Well,
in town.
okay.
Yeah.
And
Alright.
just guys, if we asked for 3
They
million,
don't determine that.
if
the
we
comptroller
asked for
does it.
3
Sure.
million bucks to work on our mile and a half of road, it's only $1,764 a lot. That they would have to pass on. Now they're not going to suck it up. They just pass it on to the consumer, pass it on to the builder pass it on to the consumer.
And that's great for the initial. But in perpetuity, if we could get a franchise, that would continue
But
to
by-
maintain those roads.
By then, we're going to have half a dozen of these. We're going to have
Sure.
income.
Yeah.
It's
Well, they
kind
I'm
of
looking for
whether-
perpetual.
Yeah, they also
Income,
mentioned,
revenue
elephant in the
streams.
room, but we're going to have income.
they also mentioned the idea of a right of first refusal for our solid waste person, right?
That's
Putting-
what I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, putting something in there that they would, Blackjack would have the opportunity to serve them, so we could get our fees
Yes.
versus
So-
not,
so-
so.
So I guess where I come down in this is that our best bet that I see it is having a relationship with Mike, Mike. Mike's got to start it, but with Ben and Ray, is that because these are not fly by night guys out of New York, they're private equity people. These are two people that families have been here in North Texas for a long time and have reputations. So as Mike said, Ray called him back. Well, I think that's an indication that there is an opportunity to have a relationship. Now, there's no guarantees, obviously. You know, we're not going to have guarantees on anything. But I guess my bet is that we have a better chance of getting a relationship and getting things that way than we do through contesting it and spending a lot of money with some expensive lawyer out of Austin, not
I
Mr.
didn't say
Berman.
anything about getting a lawyer.
I know.
Well,
We know.
you don't go to trial without where the other side's got lawyers if you don't have a lawyer. That's only
That
a fool would
expression
do.
about a
So-
fool, yeah.
I mean, that's lawyers tell you that is that you only hire yourself as a lawyer if you're a fool.
Well,
Yeah,
especially
that's-
going to Austin, because I mean, the odds are not in our favor down there.
Yeah, we don't even know it. So anyway, that's where I come down on this is that I think Mike's got to take the lead. The rest of us got to support it. And we've got to put out the time talking with Ray, Ben, and the people at Kimley Horn, the engineering, the lawyer, the people. Kimley Horn's going to hire the environmental company to do the studies. Well, or be working
You know,
on
it's
them.
just hard
We've
being
gotta
on the
do that.
council. Not, the discussions are left up to certain people to keep us from having a quorum. Now, I trust Mike to come back and give us the information, but the heart is lost because you don't hear it directly.
Well, you're
Well,
right.
I don't
We can
disagree
make-
with
we can
that,
follow
but
that.
let me, since you implicated me, let me chime in. So I can promise you, I mean, even in the packet this time, you got every dialogue I've had with our attorney,
Oh,
right? I shared 100%, and I'm not saying you're accusing me of anything, but I want to be clear. I mean, I am frustrated with open meetings as much as you guys are, but I'm not going to jail for that. So we're going to follow it, but I am doing everything I can as being compliant with open meetings to keep you informed,
Yes.
right? And
You
provide
are.
you there. I promise you, there's been no conversation I've had with anybody, including the call I just told you I had with Ray, that you don't know about. I mean, you know 100%.
And
So
I know, but that's what I'm saying.
to your point,
I'll
no,
do
we
it.
can't have pep rallies and things
Yeah.
because
Do
we
you wanna
unless
take
we.
my spot?
Yeah.
I'm not looking for a way out, but if you feel like you represent us better, I mean,
No,
you can have my
y'all do
spot.
it. Y'all have it.
No,
Y'all,
I-
y'all take it.
I can't
Y'all take
promise
it. Y'all take
anything, but
everything anyway, so keep taking it.
I
make
come down a
motion-
little bit.
I make a motion that we do not file a
Contested.
contestant permit, their permit.
Then, and we go with option 3, which is to
Option
negotiate,
I
not
think-
option 1, which is do
I-
nothing.
Yeah.
I
Not,
think we need to put a little more meat into this, in this.
By all means, go ahead.
No, no, I don't.
Well, wait a
know.
minute. Let's,
No,
okay,
yeah,
so what
let's
is,
wait a
what
little
is
bit.
your,
Make a motion that we do not contest the permit.
I don't know that we need
File
a motion
formal.
not to contest it. Let's make a motion for what we are gonna do. We're gonna
All right.
enter into negotiations with
Fair
the
enough.
development plan. if
that
that's
we,
what you
it's an
want.
option 3.
Let's not have an
Option 3.
Yeah, let's not.
That's okay.
okay, but you made a motion, so do you withdraw that motion?
Withdraw.
Okay,
Well, the
so we
motion-
withdraw, so the table's open again.
Okay.
So it's option 3, which is negotiate, but
Okay,
don't
Okay, so who's
contest.
making the motion?
I'll make the motion.
And
Okay,
I'll,
so Dale makes a motion that we negotiate with the current team, with Ray and team.
And/or eventually county on the development agreement.
Mike, I'll second
That's
it.
a broad.
I don't like it, but I'll second it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think
And,
that needs to be said.
I mean, Tracy, we're still gonna be friends, but I gotta go
we're
against
still
you on
gonna be
this one.
friends. I'm not voting for it, but we're still
That's
gonna be
fine.
friends. I
Okay,
don't
so the
like being
motion
bullied.
is that and I'll lead that effort unless somebody wants to take it over,
I
that
feel
we,
bullied by the state.
and it will involve, do we have, if we're gonna set this up, let me kind of plow ahead a little bit. Do we have 2 people on the council? I mean, right now it's been Terry and Tom and I, because I can only have 2 of you in the conversations. Is there somebody else that we feel like we'd be better served to be in those conversations? Doug, would you like to be in them? Tracy, I mean,
No.
No.
Yeah,
I think, I don't want
we
to
would
convolute
already do
anymore. I think y'all are
we would
doing
be
it.
breaking quorum doing that.
I think
well,
y'all
no,
are
I'm
doing
thinking
it.
2. I'm saying if
No.
we want to trade out one of
No.
these.
No,
Well,
no.
Mike, I would say when at some point, there's things Dale knows we don't know. His expertise is different than ours, and that in some cases, I would say you ought to suggest Dale.
Well,
Well,
we
there's
can-
no
we
reason
can
to have
have a meeting.
updates. Yeah, we can
We
have
can have a
updates.
meeting, we just can't, it's
yeah.
between meetings, right? If we sit down with
Yeah.
Ray and them
That's what I
again,
mean.
which 3 is it gonna be? It's gonna be me.
It doesn't have to be the same people every time.
Well, not
Yes,
necessarily, we just
that's
have to
my
be careful
point.
we don't get a walking quorum. We can't kind of keep the topic
No,
going.
but if we have a meeting, then
We're
come
having a
back and
meeting.
Talk about it here and say,
Yeah.
we're gonna have another meeting
We're
next
allowed.
month.
Yeah.
We're gonna discuss this.
That's true.
Maybe there's other
We're
players.
allowed
Yeah,
to
that
go
we
to
can-
meetings.
we can
We're not
still
allowed
have-
to discuss
Okay.
it.
We can still have agenda meetings to discuss this subject.
Yeah,
We're not
this-
having,
This will
this,
undoubtedly be
this
on
is the
agenda.
groundwork.
Right.
Those, you
Okay,
guys
so I
do the
have a
groundwork.
motion on the floor from Dale to negotiate with Ray and team, because we can't talk about down the road. I mean, that's down the road. So this is what we're gonna do right now. We are not going to take any other action.
We're gonna take-
We're going to put our effort into negotiating with them on behalf of the town
Okay.
for whatever we can get. Okay, we have a second from Tom. Okay, any more discussion?
Well, I guess the only point I'd make is this implies that come 30 days after the 25th of October, which is 24th of November, I think, it will be approved, and everybody understands that by the TCEQ.
Well, I mean, there's always a chance somebody else is gonna contest
Yeah,
it, but
somebody
we
else
aren't.
We're just
Right.
not going to.
That's true.
Because if you look at that list, I mean, they mailed it to a bunch of people. It's not just us.
That's true. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, we can't. We're just talking
Well,
throughout
see,
ourselves.
that proves my whole point. We have a whole list of people here that this has been sent to. How can we not pull together with these people to decide, hey, we want to contest it?
Well, now,
It's
having
the 5th
said
of
that,
November.
most of them are TCEQ people, but okay. We have Angela Paxton, Brent Money.
Wait, we have a motion and we have a
That's
second.
others.
They're
Okay.
going to contest it.
So
Both
any
of them are
any
gonna
more
contest it.
conversation on the motion? It's been made and seconded, so it's valid. Any other discussion? Okay, call for a vote. All in favor of Dale's motion, seconded by Tom to negotiate with Ray and team. All in favor? Okay. Opposed? Okay, we have one opposed. Okay, motion passes. Okay,
All right.
so, that doesn't get you going home quite yet. You gotta, we still have, general public comments, so that, agenda item is closed. General public comments, we have, Jason, did you want to make any closing remarks also?
No, I'm.
Got any money?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's happening everywhere. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna say you can step up the mic if you want, but we're gonna start with, Jonathan.
I'll pass.
Okay, Tara Sinkovich.
Tara Sinkovich, Town of Poetry. So, man, it's tough, isn't it? I really, really, though, appreciate your passion. That shows you care. So, I mean, we should care. This is very serious matter. And so it is our first. And so, I'm glad that you just didn't, spend 15 minutes talking about it. It is an important issue, and it is, there are a lot of emotions and passions, and people feel very strongly both ways. And, about this is their backyard. So, I think it's important that we do have some passion, and we do have a long discussion on it is very important. So I do think that the very fact that Ray Ecken Road had said that he is allowing someone on his property, we don't want to burn that bridge necessarily. So that's actually good. I think that's a good thing that he did say. And so we ought to take full advantage of that possibly. I do know that if sales and use tax is in the ETJ, there is a possibility. I have in the past discussed this with an attorney or two. There's something called an MDD, I believe, and it has to do with the sales and use tax that you can form in your ETJ. I don't know if it's still a thing, but that might be a possibility for negotiation points, a sales and use tax collected in our ETJ. I do like the idea of the franchise fee trash that could only help our town in preparing for this many number of citizens. Switching gears on the solar, man, they are very ugly. So if there's any way we could have a hedge of trees, maybe in the town of through that 311 feet buffer, if they could do a hedge of trees or something to offset the ugly, that would be most welcome. Anyway, good job, guys.
Thank you. Okay, Shelley Smith? Okay, anybody else to the point that was just made? I just want to make sure everybody feels like they've had their chance to speak. Anybody else in the audience want to stand up, make closing remarks? Wow, I'm encouraged. There's hope for it.
I don't know. You might need some escort.
Well, and again, this was this was a good exercise. I think things went well, all things considered, and just be thinking about as we leave here, kind of doing your own little internal debrief of okay, what are my thoughts going forward? Because this is not a one-time thing. This is our job going forward, right? This managing solar farms, wind farms, I don't know what farms. I mean, it ain't going to stay the way it is. It's just not. And I hate that. I hate it, but I ain't leaving. So I'll be the last one here to turn the lights out if I have to be, but we got to figure out what we can do in the meantime. So thank you, council, for your willingness together. And meeting is adjourned at 7:18.